never been completely satisfied with my solution on how to carry a propane tank for overlanding and off-roading. It's really convenient to be able to set up the grill off the tailgate when we set up camp, but I've had a couple of issues. First, I had the typical kind of cream-colored white propane tank, and unfortunately, sitting outside, that thing tends to rust pretty quickly and it just didn't look real good. So I got this unfinished kind of stainless steel look and mounted it onto my existing power tank bracket. But the problem with this bracket is even tightened down, and this is just a thumb screw on here, but even tightened down, this thing just rattles like crazy. It doesn't fall out, but it's just annoying. And if I have the rear window open on the Jeep, you can just hear that nonstop going down the road or even off-road. So I've been trying to find a different solution for this. So after doing some internet research, I stumbled upon American Adventure Lab, and they make this really cool all aluminum propane rack, and it looked to be really well made. So I took a chance and ordered it. Relatively new company. They were established in 2018, but it's an American company, and I thought it was give it a shot. So it showed up yesterday, and really impressed with the build quality. It's rough cut aluminum, but it looks like it's going to be a really tight fit, and I'm hoping will hold my tank. So if it does, then I hope to switch this thing out and get a better seal for my propane tank for driving around and off-roading. So we'll see if the tank fits. That'll be the next question. Wow, okay, look at that fit. I adjusted the little knob right here to kind of get that right, but man, that is a tight fit. No squealing, no rattling, no anything. So I think this is going to meet my objective here. Plus, it's clean, there's no rusting. You can add a lock here, which is nice. But even if you don't have a lock, you can probably just put a little carabiner in there to keep that from potentially popping out off-road. So this looks like it's going to fit the bill. So I'm going to get this thing mounted and pull off the power tank model and replace it with this and see what the finished product looks like. So one of the things I did notice almost immediately is that these mounting holes are significantly smaller than the holes used to mount, or the bolts used to mount the power tank, the holes for the bolts on the power tank. So we'll probably have to add some washers, because the Rebel off-road setup, the mount here is kind of geared for larger bolts to go through there. And as you can see, those guys are pretty thick. So we'll have to use some different mounting hardware, some smaller bolts, but that shouldn't be a big deal. So we'll see how that goes. But what I do like about the Rebel setup is if you use the carriage bolts in here, you only need one wrench to pull this stuff on and off, because it just locks into that rectangle shape automatically with the carriage bolt. Okay, and with that, the old rack is out. Now we'll get the hardware and see what we got to do to get the new hardware in. So hopefully these holes at least line up somewhere. I have pretty bad luck with that kind of thing, but I may have bad luck with that here. I can't seem to line up two holes at the same time, so that's frustrating, but we'll figure something out. They are not spaced. Oh, wait a minute. Now we're close there on the top and the bottom. Oh, you know what? That might work. Yep, right there, the very top and the very bottom. So, okay, now I just need to find the right hardware. So I was lucky enough to find the hardware I need in my little box of spare bolts in here. So I've got a set, 2 washers on each side to cover the bigger holes. So I think I can make this fit. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the good news is I will be able to get 4 bolts in this, which would allow it to be much more secure than if it were only held in by 2. That is a really good news story. Okay, so I'll reverse these 2 the other way, and we'll keep going with this. Alright, so I managed to get all 4 bolts started with the nuts on the back here. It's very clean in its fit. It fits right along with this Rebel plate, like the top and the bottom almost perfectly aligned. And I cleared the little bolts here from the outside plate. So as far as I can tell, this is going to be a really clean install when it's done. I'm pretty excited about this. That rattling has annoyed me, and it's one of those small things. It's not the end of the world, but it just kind of eats at you. Some of you may be like me, where that kind of thing you just keep looking for the right answer. So I may have found it here. I'm excited. So the bolts and nuts for me ended up being 7/16, but obviously that's going to be individual depending on your own situation. So, but that kind of gives you at least the idea of the hardware size range you're looking at to do this. And as those are lock nuts on the back, that should hold pretty tight. So. And we're off. We'll get the rest of these tightened down and put the tank in, and that should be it. Pretty easy job. I am going to get an extension for this, though, just so I've got a little more room to work. Alright, that's it. That is on there tight. That's not going anywhere. Now let's see how that propane tank mounts on there and secures down. Alright, so far clearing everything. And look at that. That is beautiful. A little still in the rack a little bit, but that is so much better than it used to be. Plus, I really like the look. That is clean. Alright, I gotta say, I think this one's a success. This is a huge improvement over what I originally had. And a big shout out to American Adventure Lab for making this great product. I really pleasantly surprised. You never know when you just pull something off the internet sometimes. But solid piece of gear. And should last me a long time. Again, no rust, no rattles. It's a good day. So, all right, thanks for watching.